Welcome to Random Movie Reviews. I'm Nathan, and today I'll be talking about Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. Although for the rest of this review, I'm just going to refer to the film as Furiosa, because that whole title is a bit of a mouthful.
That's what she said.
So a while back, I did a video called "This is the best action film of the modern era," referring to Mad Max Fury Road. And if you've watched that video, which if you haven't, I'll put it in the description below, I kind of highlight why I love that movie so much. In fact, Mad Max Fury Road isn't just my favorite action movie of the 2010s, or one of my favorite action movies. It's just one of my favorite movies, period. It's a movie that I've revisited almost every year since the film has come out, and I pretty much love everything about it. And for those who want to hear my opinions on that film, I recommend watching that video. But needless to say, going into Furiosa, I had pretty high expectations that I knew I kind of had to lower because I didn't see this movie in theaters. And I know that's kind of a hot topic with this film in particular. It didn't do well in theaters, and some people may be asking, well, Nathan, if you loved Mad Max Fury Road so much and you were looking forward to this movie, how come you didn't go to the theaters to see it? Well, I don't want to get too much into a tangent, but basically, I live in an area where theaters aren't super close to me, and when I do go to the theaters, it seems to attract people who lack theater etiquette.
Shut your traps and stop kicking the seats!
And so over the years, I have just grown to really love watching movies from the comfort of my own home. And one of the reasons why this channel is even called Random Movie Reviews is because I want to review not just newer movies or older movies, but any movie that I have an opinion on and is also convenient for me to watch, which typically means movies that I'm able to watch on my own at my own home. So that's why I didn't see the movie. It's unfortunate that it didn't do well because it looks like we're not going to be getting that Mad Max Wasteland sequel, prequel maybe. Enough of that. Let's get into the movie. Overall, I really liked it. I liked it a lot. I don't know if I can quite say that I loved it, and I think a big part of that is just because of how much I love Fury Road. But the more I think about the movie, the more I like it. And there's so many things the film does right. I think my favorite aspects of the film overall is we get more of an insight of how the wasteland works. We get more world building in this movie. We get a better understanding of kind of like the politics of the wasteland and the hierarchy, and just seeing how the world operates. And of course we get more of a background to Furiosa, which is all great stuff. Anya Taylor-Joy is really good in this movie. It's very similar to kind of Tom Hardy in Fury Road in that the character doesn't talk much, but when they do talk, you're captivated by it. And the fact that most of their performance is so physical and they're able to be engaging with just their physical presence is fairly impressive. But ultimately, this is really the Chris Hemsworth show because he ends up kind of stealing the entire movie. I absolutely loved his character, Dementis. He is a great villain to both laugh at and genuinely hate. In fact, I would say that if I can give Furiosa a positive that even outdoes Fury Road, it's that the character of Dementis is maybe my favorite new Mad Max character. I mean, I love the new characters in Fury Road, like Immortan Joe and Nux, and Furiosa, of course, in that movie is still, I mean, Charlize Theron Furiosa is still the best version of that character. But overall, Dementis is such a great addition to this franchise, to this series, and Chris Hemsworth does an amazing job. You've never seen Chris Hemsworth play a character like this, and it really shows the versatility of his skills as an actor. And like I said, there's moments where he plays him really funny, there's moments where he plays him serious, there's moments where he plays him genuinely menacing, and it doesn't come off as a tonal mess. It all works really well. And Dementis is a pretty complex character in that he's like, there's moments where he's a really good villain, and there's moments where you're intimidated by him, and then there's moments where he's a bit of a buffoon and he's kind of terrible at kind of running things. There's kind of a whole subplot in the movie of him trying to take over Gastown and the Bullet Farm, and he ends up kind of running them into the ground because he just doesn't know how to delegate properly. I mean, this whole world's gone to shit, and people like Dementis who want power is a big reason why the fictional world of Mad Max has gone to shit. The movie is a lot more ambitious with its storytelling. I mean, the story itself is very straightforward, similar to that of Fury Road. I mean, the movie's just Furiosa's backstory and her vengeance against the character of Dementis, who ends up kind of stealing her childhood and her life away from her. And the whole movie is about her trying to get back to the Green Place, which leads right into Fury Road, where, you know, if you've seen that movie, you know where that ends up. But the movie's more ambitious with the way it tells the story. There's a lot more slower paced moments, and I really liked a lot of that stuff, because, you know, I like that this movie was not trying to be Fury Road again, because I just don't think that movie could ever be topped. Fury Road is a lightning in a bottle kind of movie, and I think even George Miller knew that and was like, yeah, I don't want to do Fury Road again, because I already made that movie and I made it the best I could, and I can't really do that again without either, you know, making it a lesser version of that, or, you know, there's just no way to top Fury Road. So he wanted to pull back, give us a little bit more insight into this world, into the character of Furiosa, and why, you know, she's so hell-bent on going to the Green Place in Fury Road. I will say, though, like, as much as I really enjoyed this movie, if I was to give it a star rating on Letterboxd, I'd give it a solid 4 out of 5 stars. Looking back on the film now, in hindsight, there's really nothing in the movie that makes Fury Road an even better film. Like, that's kind of what you want from a prequel, is that do we get insight in this world that makes the movie that follows it in the timeline, chronologically speaking, does it make that movie even better? And it doesn't, because Fury Road's already amazing on its own, and with that movie you didn't really need that much backstory to, or at least I didn't need that much backstory in order to outright love the movie and be connected with it and get emotional response from it. But it is kind of cool to see the world expanded in a way that we've never seen in any of the Mad Max movies before. But I've never really been a fan of prequels in theory. I mean, the only movie that can qualify as a prequel and a sequel simultaneously, a movie that is maybe my favorite movie of all time, The Godfather Part 2. I mean, the reason that movie works as a prequel is because it's also a sequel, and it's telling its stories simultaneously, and they are kind of contrasting each other in terms of themes and in terms of characters, and it's really unique, and it's kind of its own thing. But most prequels have a problem with, like, okay, we're dealing with a character that we know is going to survive, and we know that 9 times out of 10, whenever they bring new characters into a prequel, they're going to end up dying, or, you know, something like that. So that does take away from some of the suspense, some of the tension. But for the most part, I really liked knowing more about Furiosa. I really liked seeing how the world of the Wasteland operated in a way that we've never seen before in this movie. I like the way it kind of highlighted stuff like that. And when there is action in Furiosa, it is practically on par with Fury Road. Like, this movie isn't nearly as action-packed. I mean, Fury Road is essentially a 2-hour chase scene that tells a story. It's one of the many things that makes that movie absolutely remarkable to me. Furiosa doesn't do that, but when there is action, it is phenomenal. In fact, there is 2 sequences in particular that I was like, this is awesome. It made me love the movie even more. There's the war rig scene where Furiosa first meets the character Jack, who kind of ends up being her mentor / maybe romantic interest. The movie doesn't really push that so much. It's more hinted at more than anything. The character of Jack seems very reminiscent of Mad Max, and maybe that's why Furiosa ended up trusting Mad Max in Fury Road. So that's kind of a neat little insight. But that scene where she's on the war rig and they're fighting off war boys and stuff was fantastic and long. Like, that's a pretty good chunk of the movie. It's like, it goes on for a good, like, almost like 10 minutes, it feels like. And then there's the other scene where Furiosa and Jack, you know, Furiosa tells Jack that she, you know, about her past and how she wants to go to the place that she was born, called the Green Place, and she has the star alignment to show where the Green Place is written on her arm, which we know gets severed because we've seen Fury Road. And so they end up doing this task for Immortan Joe to go after Dementis, and then they see the opportunity to kind of run after that. And so there's a great scene at the Bullet Farm where her and Jack are just basically taking out war boys left and right, and that's probably my favorite action sequence of of the movie. It's an action sequence that we've never really seen in a Mad Max film before, where most action scenes in Mad Max movies revolve specifically around vehicles slamming into each other, maybe a couple of fist fights on top of trucks and stuff like that. But this was like an old school Western shootout action scene. In fact, I believe even Jack has like a lever action rifle. And then Furiosa's just sniping them left and right. And that was such a cool scene. We've never seen anything like that in the movie before. And visually, you know, like a lot of people, when I saw the trailer, there was some CGI moments that are like, oh, that stands out a little bit more than I would like. And, you know, Fury Road, I think a common misconception about that film is that, oh, it's like, you know, it's almost all practical. And it's like, no, there's a lot of digital effects in Fury Road. The difference is the digital effects are used specifically to heighten or enhance the practical effects. And with Furiosa, for the most part, I really loved all the visuals. And there were some really beautiful looking scenes in this movie. And some really inventive cinematography that we don't really see in Fury Road that is highlighted in Furiosa. But there are moments where you do see some green screen effects, some CGI that's pretty dodgy, even for today's standards. And it's like, yeah, that's just another little nick on why this movie doesn't really quite reach the same level as Fury Road. But overall, I have a hard time believing that if you loved Mad Max Fury Road that you're not going to like Furiosa. Like I said, I really like this movie. I'm already looking forward to watching it again because the next time I plan on watching it, I'm going to watch both Furiosa and Mad Max Fury Road back to back. Perhaps when I do that, that might change my opinion of the film for the better. It may change it for the worse. But overall, it's just a really solid revenge movie that's in the wonderful, insane world of Mad Max. I love how creative this world is. I love the absurdity. I love the costumes. I love how, you know, the movie kind of rides the line between... I mean, tonally, the movie is pretty serious. But there is kind of a campy element, you know, with like the guy wearing the gas mask on his crotch. And there's this, and that's just the world of Mad Max. And with Furiosa, you get to see more of that world and you get to understand the character of Furiosa a little bit better. But it is, yeah, it's a very solid, it's probably one of the best prequels I've seen as someone who really doesn't like prequels all that much for the reasons that I already mentioned. But overall, I really liked this movie. I'm looking forward to seeing it again. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on Furiosa. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? Do you think it's as good as Fury Road? Do you think it's not quite as good? Do you think maybe it's better than Fury Road? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thank you guys for watching.